Hello and welcome. I am Exit Light and this is my channel. And today I'm going to talk to you about the discovery, the newly discovered, ghost civilization. A civilization that seems to have disappeared from our lineage. Just a whisper of DNA. Before we get started, if you would please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe if you're not. Let's get started talking about the ghost civilization. 2 7,000-year-old female mummies that were naturally preserved and buried in the Libyan Sahara Desert were discovered at Takrari Rock Shelter in southwestern Libya, where archaeologists recovered the remarkably well-preserved remains during an excavation of early human burials. Keep in mind, they found these remains in a place that's so remote, so lost in time, that it can only be reached by quads, four-wheelers. According to the study published in the journal Nature, researchers believe that these two mummies lived during the African humid period, which was a time in the Sahara when the Sahara was not a desert. It was not rolling dunes of sand. It was not hotter than the hottest places. It was lush, green, filled with rivers for fishing, trees. They raised sheep, herded sheep. There was mountains. There was a lake the size of Germany. It was green and beautiful, and many communities were known to have lived there. The discovery, led by Neda Salam from the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, analyzed DNA taken from the women's teeth and leg bones. It is extraordinarily rare that there would be any way to get a partial DNA out of such mummies found in the heat. But they were able to get a full strand of DNA out of these two women's teeth. Practically a miracle. The results showed that they belonged to a previously unknown human lineage. The genetic branch seems to have split from the sub-Saharan African populations around 50,000 years ago. Around the same time, other modern humans were starting to leave Africa. This lineage doesn't appear to be directly connected to modern populations in the region. They were completely enclosed amongst themselves. They had everything they needed, and they didn't want anything else. So they were alone amongst themselves, which became a ghost population. This supports that theory of earlier chemical studies that suggested that people buried at Takrari lived and died locally, period, relying on nearby water sources and soils. One of the more puzzling aspects of this research is the tiniest amount of Neanderthal DNA found in the mummies' genomes, just 0.15%. You and I have more Neanderthal DNA in us right now than they did then. That's about 1/10 of what's typically found in people whose ancestors lived outside of Africa, yet it's still higher than in most ancient or modern sub-Saharan Africans. This faint signal suggests that the Takrari population may have had very limited contact with groups linked to the Near East, perhaps during rare interactions along trade or migration routes, but there is no evidence of sustained or large-scale movement of people into this part of the Sahara. The low Neanderthal content positions this population much closer to human groups that remained within Africa than those that settled in Eurasia. Along with the mummies, archaeologists have uncovered tools and animal remains tied to herding, including cattle, sheep, and goats, it's clear that the Takrokari women belonged to a community that had taken up pastoral life. Still, their DNA doesn't show any signs of mixing with farming groups from the Levant or Southern Europe. As reported by Earth.com, the researchers think that this points to a cultural division, meaning local people adopted new ideas and technologies without being overtaken by outside groups. The artifacts found at this site, like pottery and tools, also show gradual changes over time, suggesting a very slow but steady adaptation rather than a major upheaval. These people lived for millennia by themselves. Millennia. Let that sink in. This community does not share human DNA. And according to the study, the Takrokari are closer in age to the 15,000-year-old foragers from Taforalt Cave in Morocco than they are to modern-day humans. Both lineages, the study says, contain the same genetic distances as sub-Saharan groups that existed at the time. DNA analysis has also revealed that the Takrokari had traces of Neanderthal DNA, which was not present in other groups at the time that this group would have been alive. So think about that. The Neanderthal DNA that they found, that 0.15, was in no other civilization's DNA at that time. None. How is that possible? Did they commune with Neanderthals? Because they didn't leave where they lived for thousands of years. They were in a controlled environment. So how is this possible? According to the study, the Takrokari are thought to have inherited their genes from a hunter-gatherer group that existed before animals were domesticated or farming began. The study added that the group was primarily hunters and gatherers. However, Salam did take note that they made advances in manufacture of their pottery and their baskets. It was stated that this group's lack of movement is allegedly due to the diversity of environments in the Sahara. These ranged from lakes and wetlands to woodlands to gracelands, savannas, mountains, such differences in habitats that could be barriers or could allow them to hide from human populations. This discovery of a ghost civilization with no ties to current human DNA comes as archaeologists have uncovered mummies believed to be among the oldest ever found. The remains were found across Southeast Asia and are estimated to be approximately 14,000 years old. Thank you for coming to my channel. Leave a thought below. Tell me what you think. How is it possible that this ghost civilization has no relation to human DNA? Good night.